Welcome if this is your first time. This is Mark.
No, but your bikini was very slight, as the sun says.
Oh, is that what it said? I did this thing on my Instagram yesterday as a total
seriously
piss
expect
take.
it not to be picked up.
No, but I did it as a total piss take.
Oh God!
I wasn't like trying to make out that I was looking good.
Well, you did. You look great.
I didn't look great, for God's sake.
Go to our Instagram, check it out.
Oh, I didn't. But
You're
anyway,
talking about the image on the front, right?
The first image. Yeah. So I was doing a piss take of the sexy girl dressed in the England thing. I actually used my daughter's bikini that I painted a cross on with my other daughter's paint. And it was supposed to be a piss take. And all these people have been messaging me going, oh, you look great, you look really hot. I'm like, no, I don't.
I won't say what some of the things I've read.
What have you read?
Oh, you don't want to know. Morning, everyone.
What do you mean?
We'll talk about it later. Morning, everyone. Nadia's brought a smile to many faces this morning.
Oh, don't. What, not creeps?
Of course. You dare to say to me that I attract creeps?
But the thing is, you see, I always think I look bloody awful, so I never think I'm going to get any creeps.
When I'm talking about stupid, idiotic things with you, where I don't show anything, that I bring in creeps.
But what did I show?
If you don't get
my
it, you don't get
belly.
It. Oh, babe.
And my... What?
What?
I mean, I was hardly putting myself out there in an attractive way.
Tim Reed, you're such a wind-up.
Oh, he's a wind-up. Oh.
Right.
Morning, everyone.
Morning,
just do hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you're new here. It doesn't cost you anything, but it will tell you when we're live. And if this is your first time over here with us, please give us the hand-waving emoji so we can shout out your name and welcome you. Good morning. So here we go. Off we go. Did you want to do some housekeeping, you said?
Confessions of a Modern Parent has landed this morning. There was all sorts of issues with the Apple podcast app, and they've resolved it. So the staycation one is up. If you subscribe, you'll have been notified already. It's a whole topic on regret. Do you regret being a parent? Is it one of the last taboos and all that kind of stuff?
Oh my God, it was such... Can I just, first of all, just say thank you to all the people that joined that podcast.
Everyone is anonymous in it.
Everyone's anonymous, of course, because, oh my God, it broke our hearts, didn't it?
Yeah.
You know what? It really is such a good podcast because people talked really honestly about their regret of having children and it's always mixed emotion. Nobody just regrets having a child, but you can have regrets within your choices and stuff, and it's such a good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for contributing.
It really is. It really was. And the reason it's landed today is because we were in the epicenter of a perfect storm with our dogs, and we weren't in any fit place to promote it or suggest that you listen to it or anything. So that's Confessions of a Modern Parent. Update on Chi-Chi. We have a very tricky scenario.
Oh my God, you won't believe
Let me just fill in what's happened with Chi-Chi.
Chi-Chi is our... Yeah, because people might be here for
Chi-Chi is our cockapoo who's currently, for those of you who know, she's currently at the Royal Veterinary College undergoing all sorts of tests and treatment.
We nearly lost her. Yes. She was nearly completely blinded. It's been a horrendous
week. She's had a form of vasculitis that they can't identify exactly why or what or how. And anyway, so she's on the cusp of possibly needing surgery. She's got biopsies coming through today. I have to confess, I thought we were going to be lucky enough to have her home today. But this is kind of fortunate that she isn't coming home.
Because you won't believe it.
Toffee, and you're probably going to hear her at some point, seems to have developed kennel cough, which means you have to keep the dogs which means you have to keep the dogs apart.
Because it's highly infectious. So if Chi-Chi gets the cough and she's had an operation, she'll be bursting open her bloody stitches.
Now, if you're dog owners, apparently there's an epidemic of kennel cough going around the country this year. There's huge numbers. Apparently, I didn't realise dog walkers, if they get an outbreak in their group, they're not allowed. They're recommended not to walk the dogs in a park, not to let them mix with other dogs and stuff.
Well, you can. I spoke to the vet and she said you can, but you've got to keep them on a lead and keep them away from other dogs. So it's just one bloody thing after another at the moment. It really is. But, you know, yeah.
Kennel cough is like the dog version of the common cold. You're right, it just sounds so...
It just sounds so awful. And, of course, you don't sleep because we were hearing it all through the night. Morning, Johan. We didn't sleep much, and neither did she, so we're absolutely exhausted. We've got loads to do. But I rang the homeopath, Helios, the homeopathic pharmacy today, and we have got her on something called Drosera. Now, she was coughing non-stop. And
It's
she will
so much
cough
better.
again, but it's so much,
much
better
better.
with this remedy. Drosera, it's called. So
I have to confess, I wasn't convinced, and it's quite phenomenal.
it's quite
It's
phenomenal.
quite phenomenal.
Like
I'm just going to
magic.
say behind my hand.
Because he doesn't
bloody
like
hell.
it when homeopathy works.
Bloody
but-
hell. No, it's not that I don't like it. I'm a big fan of complementary. I'm just not a fan of anyone saying only one way works.
No, I'm not. I believe in all
I think the word
things.
complementary is the best
Yeah.
word for all this.
Now,
I
there
think
is-
be open to everything.
There is a vaccine for kennel cough, but we
Simple
didn't know
squirt up the nose.
that. Yeah. So if you
Yeah.
want to get your dog,
Yeah.
if there's a bit of an outbreak, you can get it by just
Yeah.
squirt up the nose.
It comes in threes, which you've had all three. So now,
Well, we've had more than that.
We've had
We had,
about
my dad
7.
had the stroke. Mark had his breakdown. And there's other stuff. God.
so I've also just posted on Instagram about being grateful for the fact that I've been 17 years sober nearly, and I haven't woken up this morning with the complicated sets of regret, shame, and unbearable guilt that I think a lot of people could be waking up with this morning. There's the headache of the football. There's the natural headache of just being a sort of social drinker who's had fun. And then there's the crushing awfulness of those people who are going to wake up this morning and go, what the hell
have
did
I
I
done?
do last night?
Can I just pause us for 1
Yeah.
second? Because Sarah Elliott has just said, and your teeth, Nads.
Yeah, please don't go on about your teeth.
And my teeth.
Please don't tell us about your teeth.
And my teeth.
And your teeth.
Forgot about all the horror with my
Jill
teeth.
Lister, I didn't drink for those. So this morning is a hungover morning. It's a
Yeah.
national hangover. I mean, for many, many reasons, and very justified reasons. You know, I mean, Christ, the football was tantalisingly close, wasn't
Oh
it?
my
Tantalisingly
God, we're
close.
exhausted just from the football. Never
Yeah.
mind not sleeping because of toffee.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God.
And, you know,
Hi, Louise Bowers.
I don't want to use kind of, cliches, but we was robbed. We was robbed, as they
Deborah, and my honey burn, of course. Oh
Yeah.
my God, the list just goes on.
say. And Nan burgled, Nanny died burgled.
And Nanny Di burgled. God, it's been... Who would have thought 2021 would be worse than 2020?
Yeah, of course you can, Sam JP. I mean, send it to Michelle down the bottom and she'll forward it to me. Sarah Watkins. But yes, the other side of this, obviously there's the frustration, there's the talk about the football. We've just heard Gareth Southgate talking about what they could have done differently and what they're going to do differently, and they've got to qualify for the World Cup. We can all get excited about that again. But the byproduct of this is a lot of really bad behaviour. And I mean, really bad behaviour. Not only the violence in various parts of the country, principally in cities and stuff like that, but
So
you'll never know the full extent of the violence that happens. You were talking to someone on Instagram who said their best friend punched their best friend
In the
over
face
football.
for no reason.
There seems to be something amongst, I mean, I remember this, there's real argy-bargy amongst men who are friends when it comes to football. It's like dogs suddenly scrapping over a bone. But then,
So disgusting.
alongside
But those
this-
men then go home to their wives and their girlfriends, and you think, what were you like when you got home?
yeah. And
Or
then
at least a bad
alongside
taste
this,
in the
there's
mouth.
all the issues around racism,
Yeah.
which I think when you're so anti something, it never ceases to make me breathless when it happens. Reece Roberts, loads of the England fans were trying to fight the Italians in Piccadilly Circus. Now, I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but I'm not noticing a lot of the footage falling onto the main channels.
That's
now,
what everyone was saying on Instagram. Why
Yeah.
aren't they reporting it?
because I think they don't want to wreck the national mood. I don't think there'll be an edict down from government saying don't show it, but there might be. You don't know. I mean, sometimes, so social media works in two ways. You can have the benefit of being able to see things that you don't get covered by the national press. But then, of course, you've got some of the most horrific racism that's been aimed at the black players in the team. And
Oh no.
it's just, I mean, I just want to read this one out. A
Be careful what you
Savills
say.
estate agent worker used the N-word and said that they'd ruined it for... Can you actually believe that? I can't actually believe that.
Unfortunately, I can.
Well, I
Unfortunately, I
can, but I
can.
can't. I can, but as a human, I just
But
can't.
also, you know, take aside, just how can you be that brutal to
Yeah.
a young, brilliantly talented boy? They're 19, some of them, you know, they're so young. The crushing disappointment that, I mean, they broke my heart the way they were crying last night. They worked their bloody asses off. Sterling basically could hardly do a bloody thing through the whole match because It's just like being bullied, isn't it, if you're good in football? Because everyone's just around you, just stopping. You know, they've been through so much, and then to have to hear all this
It's
morning.
outrageous. It's outrageous. It's unforgivable. And I have to say, it makes me just ashamed to be British. And I'm going to say this, and I need to say this. It's why I struggle with the St. George's flag. It is why, you know, we all want to be nationally proud, but when you demonstrate this kind of awful behaviour, it's very hard to align yourself to a flag, because there's something about aligning yourself to a flag that's a bit blind. I don't know. It really worries me.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I think it's not aligning yourself to a flag. I mean, it's us. It's the way that we do. Other countries don't behave like that.
No. Lots of other countries have all sorts of problems with their football hooliganism.
Where
There is a
else
lot
is
of
as bad as
racism.
us?
Italy, Russia.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you get all sorts of... And you can't control
have to say,
principally lots of men in these scenarios. You just can't. And unfortunately, it seems to be a go-to, is like, look for difference and then exploit it. And you know... It just, oh, look, Emily Catrinar says, Instagram needs to do more with the racism. I reported 50 comments on Saka's Instagram account with clear slurs. Only one was deleted. They don't move quickly enough. And I know that someone, I think MeTube, you've suggested that there is a difficulty in picking up language versus the algorithm picking up commercial checks. But I do think it could happen
you
more
can
swiftly.
write something about COVID and immediately you get a COVID alert. I mean,
Well,
you can just...
as soon as you put COVID in the title of a YouTube film, the COVID kind of notification comes up. So, you know...
it can be done. But I
think-
suppose it's such a vast... I suppose it's just one word,
Yeah, and you don't know. So, for example, if you see the word racist, we've got racist abuse of footballers. This could be picked up by an algorithm as potentially, you know, so...
That we're being racist.
Yeah, because you're using the word
Yeah.
racist. But for me, you know, obviously racism, trolling, all this stuff, they try, as you've just said, Emily Catrinar, there are 50 comments which were clear slurs. They're not stupid. They're not going to say obvious stuff other than the Savills estate agent.
Yeah.
You know, if you say obvious stuff, it's easy to
Those
target.
poor boys,
It's the stuff that's not easy to
How are they
pick
going to
up.
look after those young boys?
Oh, Zoe, I mean, it
Just how are they going to look after them? Something's got to be done about trolling on social media. What can
Reese
be done?
Roberts, the N-word was trending on Twitter.
No.
Saka is being called a monkey all over his Instagram and social media. Oh, some black people have been bullied on their way to work this morning. What are we? Oh my God. And you know what really
It's so depressing.
Do you know what frustrates me about this? My worry is that it won't be overly reported because, and I'm sure there are people here probably thinking it, oh, come on, why are you being so miserable? This is a time for celebration that the England team have done well and got to the finals. Well, that would be lovely if there wasn't all this that rapidly follows
but
it.
the England team, you see, why does everything have to be so one way or the other, so bloody binary? The thing is, yes, it was brilliant and the England team played brilliantly and got to the final, and that's fantastic and we can feel joyful and proud of them. But we also have to take note of what the hell is going on the other side as well, because we can't just dismiss it because of those feelings.
Someone somewhere says it's why we don't win. Bad energy being put out. Horrible begets failure. We don't deserve a win. Well, it's a shame for the footballers. You know,
poor
they put
buggers.
all that effort in, and that's the return they get. Geraldine McKeown, it's the flag holder. It hurts my heart. The country bumpkin. Hate England for the sheer fact of racism. I know. I mean, you know, at what point do we acknowledge that? You know, unfortunately, you know. I don't know, there are just so many elements of our social life.
Terry Jane Butler, Boris needs to stop saying they should be ashamed and they
do
should be
something.
charged with a criminal record. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Elliot Gonzalez, there's no excuse for Twitter allowing that word to trend. None.
Yeah, how can that... Come on, that's a word that you can pick up on in the same
Yeah.
way you can COVID.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter how dirty the Italians may have played or how, you know, much we feel that they fouled. It's a game. It's a game. It's a game.
Rachel Louise, the sad thing is if they won, they would have been national treasures. What the fuck is wrong with people?
I know. It's, that contrast of...
Homophobic attacks rise in Liverpool. Oh, God. Don't you just, at the minute, just look out at the world and go, it's all so depressing.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be interesting if all the brilliant black players in this country refused to play for the national team? Then we'd see
We'd
how
be
far
left
we
up
wouldn't
shit
get.
creek, wouldn't we?
Absolutely. So Thugs making, I think, 49 arrests that we know of. I mean, I saw scenes in Leicester Square yesterday, which I sent you a tweet of, Scenes in Leicester Square before kickoff. I've never, Londoners, I've never seen Leicester Square like it. It was a river of beer and swill, and people were throwing. I saw someone throw a a traffic cone in the air, and hid it. It must have crushed his neck. And
Faith Goodman,
literally,
yeah, the fans that just stormed the building and ran. I mean, we're in a state of almost complete anarchy.
yeah. I think the police are coming under fire for not having had enough people there to manage it, and I think they're right. Once again, there were plenty of police for Sarah Everard vigil.
Do you remember that?
Plenty of police for the Sarah Everard vigil.
Wow, there were so many police for the Sarah Everard
So many
vigil.
for that, to remove the peace protesting women who were sitting. But maybe they were a bit scaredy cat when it came to kind of the footballers around Wembley. I don't know.
I was just so relieved because Maddie was in a pub last night watching it. I just didn't want her to be in a pub. But
No, she left the pub
She's
early.
18. All you can do is go, have a lovely time.
It's funny, they all decamped actually to friends, and I wonder whether that was just because, it's funny, isn't it? And alcohol, when I think back to when Beckham got the red card and was sent off, and I was in a pub on Dean Street, and it was all rah, rah, rah. Drink makes you numb to actually how much you sound like a nutter. Do you know what I mean? So there is a situation where you can be quite a well-meaning person, but you get caught up in the excitement of it all, but you'd present to a nervous person or someone of a nervous disposition like a nutter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did any of you have your kids out last night? You're 18, 19. I mean, because obviously we've only got daughters, but actually to have your son out in that last night must have been scary, I would imagine, because of, look at that woman that was just talking to me on Instagram and said that her husband got punched in the face for no reason by his friend. And that's a whole heap of difference, isn't it? I was a bit nervous about that yesterday with Maddie because I was thinking, what if her friends, who are all lovely, good boys, but what if they got picked on and then they got in a fight and, oh, it's so scary. 18-year-old son ditched the pub, went to a friend's, Pippa Bailey. I think that's what happened with Maddie. Because I was worrying and Mark said, oh no, she's texted and said they went back to her friends. I think probably it just they could feel it was getting
Now, it's
crazy.
important to say this isn't everyone and this isn't all of it. And there is obviously the family contingent. Let's go to the BBC coverage. They cut away to all the sweetest children in the crowd and all the sort of attractive women and kind fathers. And, there's that side. There's that side of it, which is this kind of image that I think everyone wants to believe is the image of football, which is family, entertainment, national pride.
Oh,
and all
we
of that.
wish.
But
somebody said there earlier, we all went with a festival feeling. We were feeling uplifted, feeling like we'd pulled together. And yet here we are again this morning. Evan H. 19 police officers injured yesterday. It was like the storming of the Capitol. That's what I thought yesterday. It was like that kind of that really scary, vulnerable feeling that there was kind of an anarchy going on. And I've never heard of anything like that, storming the stadium. And he actually, who's that commentator, the crisp man? What's the crisp man?
Gary Lineker.
Gary Lineker actually had to interrupt the broadcast to say where there are police trying to get a hold of it. So I think it was probably quite bad.
Yeah.
And then that idiot storming the pitch. Oh, God.
Tamika Patterson, if it was Black Lives Matter, they were quick to demonise black people.
Yeah.
Emma Carter, I used to hate the football when I was with my boy's dad as he would come home and be violent.
Oh, no.
So I'm glad I got away from him. Good
Oh,
God.
Emma, I'm so sorry to hear that. I went to bed, I have to say, really haunted last night because I was just saying this on Instagram, because one of the women's aid platforms was tweeting, he's coming home. And I was just like, oh, I went up and just thought, oh, God. Oh, whoever you are, whatever woman you are, wherever it happened, I just send you just vibes of strength.
Yeah.
Because people will have been beaten up last night. Women will have been beaten up last night. It's just...
Well, yeah, and also, there has been a
Children will
campaign
have
about
been
there's been a
scared.
campaign about the connection between domestic violence and drinking and football. This is the problem for football. There's a game there. There's something that can be a really nice way of pulling people together. Like in America, you don't, around baseball, you don't hear stories of people from different baseball teams beating each other up. What do Americans do? They all kind of gather around. They all get together in their homes and at the stadia. You know, there isn't that sort of febrile atmosphere of I'm going to smash your face in and all that. I mean, of course there's competition. And this is the danger sometimes with sport and competition, is at what point you can't, you know, where do you define that moment where it's something that's fun and you're eager to win, and then it tips over into just hate, violence and aggression. I mean, you know, and that's the bit that gets lost. And I think that's the bit, that dividing line, that tricky dividing line where alcohol exploits that dividing line, and it tips people, not everyone, but it tips a lot of people in the wrong direction, so that mistakes are made. And, you know, there's a campaign about domestic violence and its connection to football, that, you know, the earlier football matches leads to more drinking time afterwards and all this kind of stuff, you know. But it strikes me that even later football matches, everyone was drunk in London before the football yesterday.
Lots of people there saying that they were so relieved because their kids stayed at home. Somebody there saying that their sons had a barbecue at home instead and watched it. Yeah, I mean, I bet there's plenty of young men that were scared to go out yesterday. And quite rightly, I think it's sensible. I think it's brave to be scared and stay in. Yeah. It's smart to be brave and stay in.
Now, I've got a feeling you're going to get fired up and riled in a minute, because we've obviously later today, we're going to be told by Boris that July the 19th is happening, but we all need to be cautious. I didn't see much caution yesterday.
Fucking hell. Do you know what? Do you know what yesterday was just driving me insane? So you've got all the fans.
There are, Jackie Villino, a lot of good football supporters, and it's important to know that.
So many. More good than bad. That's the awful thing, isn't it? It's the few that ruin it for everybody else. It's just disgusting. So we've got this the theatre of COVID, as I call it, where you've got all the fans screaming and singing and spitting and spraying in the stadium, and then you've ridiculous affectation of the presenters all sitting 2 meters apart, and in the VIP box they've all got 2 chairs between them. It was like, do you think we don't see that that's just an act? Because you've got to have that there if you're having it there.
But this is an interesting point Susan Brown makes, and Boris wants to leave dealing with the pandemic to the public.
God, after what we've seen, what the public are like today.
Well, you can kind of understand why people are concerned. You know, you do hand it over. I mean, you know, this is assuming people are observing any kind of protection now at all. I go out, I don't see anyone observing anything. I mean, people have had enough of it, and it's, you know, and I think that's for so many complicated reasons. You just have to go through all our coffee mornings. We've charted it right down to Cummings, to Hancock, to Boris,
Faith,
to everything.
It was Whitestop.
But, you know, I mean, there is a point here where you sort of say, well, okay, we want freedom. Maybe masks should be mandatory in certain scenarios. Let's hand it over to this really responsible population. Well, yeah, many can do that, but a lot won't. And what do we do in the situation like yesterday where they don't? Ashley makes a really good point. We've already made history by getting to the final in a major tournament. Really true. That seems to have been forgotten. Because we lost, a lot of people have gone all shit. It's so true. This should be still a day for celebration. We got to a final.
Yeah, exactly. Masked Kid Gaming. So David Beckham yesterday fist pumped Tom Cruise. What the hell is wrong with that? You know, we're past all that nonsense. But they had to pull back because they weren't supposed to fist pump. But look in the crowds and they're all like this.
So what do you draw from that? What do you think about what Boris is going to say later?
What I draw from it is what I've always drawn from Boris. His communication skills are zero. You never listen to anything he says without being more confused at the end than you were at the beginning. How many times have we done lives after he's done a statement and we've sat here with you guys, haven't we? We've gone, well, what did he mean? And what can I... And so again, it's a whole load of confusing signals, you know. It's just like the whole of the last 18 months. You read one article, it will say one thing, you read another, you read something entirely different. You've got one set of scientists that think one thing and another set of scientists that think something different. But I think what has to end is people have to be allowed to go and grieve at people's funerals. People have to be able to go and see their loved ones in the hospital. And my God, I tell you, we felt that today just with our dog. You know, Mark had to hand our dog over in the car park. There was all these people handing their dogs over. And, you know, that was horrendous with his dog. I said to Mark, what's that like for people whose families are in hospital and in care homes and they can't get to see them? What does it feel like for you watching the football yesterday and thinking, my poor mum or my poor dad who's got dementia, who's scared in this care home, and I'm not allowed to see it, but you lot, and they're all double vaccinated.
Millie123H, I've just come out of a 5-day emergency hospital stay and no visitors were allowed but Wembley last night. The hypocrisy of the government.
Well, you must be feeling so rageful in your throat. It's that like suppressed, like, what the fuck can I do with this unfairness? My friend's just been in hospital for a horrible, 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 horrible time. She's been in absolute agony. She's frightened, so frightened. You know, she's got a baby that's only a year old. They weren't allowed to go and see her. What? Why? They're all vaccinated.
Yeah, like Zoe says, let's be cautious, but yet everyone in sport can do what they like.
Whatever they like, yeah.
Yeah,
Unless
I
it's
agree.
sport, and then you can do whatever the fuck you like. And what annoys me, wait until the peak of these infections now. It's going to go crazy. From
Ben
last
Ashley
night.
makes a really good point. There will be so many arguments between people wearing and not wearing masks. I mean, I think the fracture that's going to run through the middle of our society now, Brexit's done, you know, we all lockdown or no lockdown, it's going to be masks. Masks is going to become this new thing that is just seen as such a symptom of. Now, of course we all want to get to a world where no masks are worn and all that kind of stuff. But I think we're still, if we're coming out of 18 months of everything, don't we want to come out convincingly? It's that thing which Jonathan Van Tam did. Let's get out of this
Mark, the hope of that is lost. We're doing one super spreader event after another.
No, but for people who are shielding and out in the world, they need some kind of protection from someone. And I think mandatory masks on public transport is a human civil right I'm willing to just burn.
Absolutely. But what I'm saying is, how does a government that on the one hand organises something like we've been seeing over the last few weeks, and then on the other hand says that? What I'm saying is they've lost the people.
Yeah, but
nobody's listening.
Yeah, but the fury that you're feeling is about everyone should be allowed to do that. If the football fans can do it, we should all be able to do it.
No. What I'm saying is, I'm saying the opposite. Do not have guaranteed major super spreader events where you're gathering tens of thousands of people together and then putting them on trains and buses and seeding it all across. That's what I've said every day this week, Mark. What I'm saying is, where we relax it is for the human contact that people need. People at the end of their lives, people with sick children, people being terrified in 5 days in emergency. You don't do it that way round. You don't do the big super spreader events first. You do them last.
So I know, I agree, but that's now unfortunately in the rearview mirror. So how do we move forward?
Well,
you allow the sporting events and you allow obviously all the other things. But all I'm talking about,
I think they
is
fucked
his
it up completely.
Yeah, they have fucked it up, but we still need to look forward. So the next step for me that damage limitates best of all, because as someone says here, Christine Saunderson, maybe the government, they absolutely do. They don't want to control the population. It has to be handed over to the population at some point. But as we can see so many times, the population, not huge, parts of the population, don't take that responsibility seriously.
They don't give a shit about other people.
You know, they shout, abuse and attack people who are getting the vaccine because it's not happening fast enough because they can't get on a flight somewhere.
People are getting abused in the vaccine centres.
If I was Boris, that's why I think you have to stand strong and say, I will not be liked by some people. And this is the problem with Boris. He wants to be liked by everyone. You stand firm and you say, in these instances where most people from possibly shielding families or of a nervous disposition or suffering from long COVID, all these kind of things, in a massively public controlled interior space such as public transport, have to wear masks. It's a simple edict that might have to be there for another year, but you know what? It might mean that after that year, it can eventually go. I don't have a problem with that. I literally don't have a problem with that. You're right, the horse has bolted. They've had the football, but they need to now square up so that awful, is it Millie, who's in hospital for 5 days and could have no visitors? You need to level up the situation.
But you see why he can't say that, because he's been hoisted by his own petard, because of what he's done with the super spreader events. He's muted himself.
Well, no,
people are going to go, what the fuck? What are you saying now? You're saying this when you've done all of that. He's just lost the room. And decent people and people that care about other people will do it. And those that don't won't and didn't for most of the pandemic anyway.
I mean, the major problem is for sectors like theatre, where unfortunately, you can look at the football and at theatre and go, why one, why the other? Well, unfortunately, open air theatres are open, like the football. It's about exterior versus interior. So there are some issues that still need to be resolved.
But Mark, exterior, standing this close and singing is exactly the same as interior. You can't say it's just because the football's outside. You don't sit in a theatre all singing, do you? You sit in total silence.
But you laugh.
There's no spray like there is in the foot. No, I'm sorry. You just.
No, I'm not. Look, I'm not sitting here saying. I'm just saying. All of this is in the rearview mirror. We have an announcement coming today. We're talking about what would we like the government to do now that makes sense. With the fact that they fucked it up, sending one signal out here, another signal out there, another signal out there, they have to do something now that has some kind of viability. And for me, the only thing they've got to do is around mandatory masking in certain environments.
I think they're going to do that. They're saying that they've still got to do it on public transport. I mean, to go down into the tube and not wear a mask is just insane. It's just insane. Because like you say, if you've got it, you're going to infect somebody else with it or vice versa. You really are protecting other people more than yourself with the mask. Because the way that we wear masks actually just increases the... You know, if you're not changing your mask every 15 minutes, then you breed the virus in the bloody mask. So the whole thing is just an absolute mess from start to finish.
Sharon O'Keefe, I will wear my mask until I feel safe not to. If anyone says anything to me about no longer having to wear one, I will tell to go F off. I just don't feel safe right now to go out with one.
Well, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And so you should absolutely do that.
Yeah, we can't have mask shaming.
No, God, can you imagine?
You
If that's
wearing a
the
mask?
next bloody thing.
It doesn't affect
Guys,
anyone.
oh, guys, we're at 195. Can you hit the thumbs up just underneath me? Let's see if we can get to 200. There's over 1,000 of you watching, which means you must be quite enjoying it.
Yeah, Prince William...
Even though it's been quite miserable today.
Prince William has condemned all this racism too, which is just as it should
Hang on,
be.
can we just have a little pause about Prince Harry? Could he not have worn the
Prince
football
Harry?
kit? No, sorry, Prince... no, not William.
George.
What's the child's name? George. Oh, he was in a suit again. No, thumbs up underneath us, just underneath the picture, if you just hit that one.
It would be a bit odd, though, I think, for the potential future King of England to wear an England strip.
He's only 6.
Yeah.
Oh, look, Harry Kane comforts his wife as she bursts into tears.
Look, there you go. These are the shots last night of some of the thuggery in London.
Oh, God, I don't want to see it. I can imagine.
Oh.
What's this?
What?
What's that one about Prince George?
Oh, trolls in Scotland mock Prince George's heartache at England.
Oh.
Oh, he looks
Oh, was he crying? Yeah. Oh. Oh. Kate looks absolutely devastated,
She does look
doesn't she?
devastated, absolutely. Bank holiday in balance, but Gareth Southgate set to receive honour. It would have been curious if we had a bank holiday for losing. I
You
thought,
can't have a bank
no,
holiday
not
for
really.
losing.
It would be curious, wouldn't it? Why have we? Because when our grandchildren said to us, "So what's the meaning of this bank holiday?" and we just said, "Oh, son, it's when we lost the Euro Championships." They'd be like, "What? What? Really?"
Oh my God, look at this. There's something called COVID nails now.
Oh, for
For a small number of patients, the fingernails appear discoloured or misshapen a number of weeks later. A phenomenon that's been dubbed COVID nails.
Oh, that's inventive. Do you think they
Yeah.
could think of something else? COVID nails.
Do you think of something more inventive?
I've got COVID nostrils.
Oh, 306 thumbs up. Thank you so much, guys. Listen, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because then you will be notified when we're live. Because it's nobody's birthday today.
Do you think there's a danger that nearly every new condition that we discover now is going to be given some kind of COVID
Yeah.
sort of? So if I get a strange scratch on my shin, it's going to be COVID shin.
COVID chin. It's a COVID
Yeah?
scratch.
COVID shin. If I have a runny nose, it'll be COVID bogey.
What's this? As Gary Lineker apes Des Lyon. Oh, no. That's right. Well, guys, thank you. Don't forget to check out our podcast this week, Confessions of a Modern Parent. And it's all about a very, very taboo subject. Do you regret being a parent? It's a real, it's a bit of a heart wrencher, I think, this one, isn't it?
And if you haven't got enough to worry about today, just add this thought to the back of your mind. Just chuck this in there. Throw this in the mix. Just knock it about like a football. Japanese-style lavatories could spread superbugs.
Oh, those ones that spray and clean it.
Just saying. I tell you the toilets I hate, the ones that, I don't know if you have them in women's.
Faith,
You go
you're
in
right.
and there's a double top and you have to press a button on it to make it kick up. I'm putting my hand where men have weed. Why? Why have you made something where I have to put my hand right down there
Mark,
to open it?
Are you struggling for new things to worry about then?
Japanese-style lavatories spread superbugs, guys. Don't use them.
Faith Goodman says Boris is going to have a real problem now. He can't hide behind the football.
Oh, well, I was saying that all along. See, for me, it's been very exciting. We've enjoyed the Euro Championships. It's been hard at times because I'm not drinking, but it's been the greatest bit of distraction for this government ever.
Sophie Jane Matilda, any and all hangover cures, I'll try them all. Well, there is a brilliant hangover cure, a homeopathic remedy called NUX, N-U-X, Vomica, right?
That stops you vomiting.
And you take that and it's amazing. But if not, my absolute go-to when I have a hangover is Alka-Seltzer XS, eggs, so you need protein, so like eggs and bacon, something salty, and loads and like water all through the day and vitamin C and rest because mostly you're tired.
I once tried that, drinking a raw egg, and I just vomited everywhere.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Eggs Benedict was always mine. Have a nice Eggs Benedict.
No,
yeah.
that's slush.
You think you don't want to eat, but do eat.
Oh.
Eat. Just eat lots.
And lots of water.
When I was drinking, it was a Bloody Mary.
Alka-Seltzer XS, the XS. Another really good one is Lucozade because it has the sport with the electrolytes because it has the salts and sugars.
Flat Diet Coke. If you're drinking a lot, open a can of Diet Coke, pop it in the fridge the night before, and let it go flat. Really helps, honestly. Especially if you mix it with vodka. No, I'm joking.
Eat yourself out of it, says Nicola
I'm out of
B.
here.
Group hug, everybody.
Group hug, everyone.
Lots of love.
Take care, guys. Have
Bye,
a lovely
my dad.
day. See you
Bye.
soon.